don't know that the impact is fully settled in for any of us. I mean, every day is a new reality. I think all of us at Sojourner just clicked right into planning for best case scenario, worst case scenario, and we just knew and understood that our vital services had to stay in place. So for us, that's shelter and the restraining order clinic. We had to make sure that we were still available in those core ways, and so it was very overwhelming. And I would probably say, we were in shock and maybe didn't really believe. And every day that goes by, there's another layer, I think, of this settling in. I think it'll take us a while to understand the full impact of what the virus is doing and calling us to. I think the most hopeful thing for me is that it's calling us to be our better selves, which can be hard when you're afraid and anxious and lonely. In a lot of ways, this virus is giving us all the experience, I think, of what survivors have always gone through. Feeling of isolation and loneliness and struggle with imagining a better or a different life, So when the virus hit, I think at Sojourner, we understood that we had to stay operational no matter what. And we have incredible, brave people who do this frontline work across the country, not just at Sojourner. Advocates who have always sort of stood in the dark with a little candle or sometimes a number of candles, lighting the way for those who are seeking a different way of being. The interesting thing is each day I think we wake up and we're being called and being reminded, I think, to think about the things that remain, right? The things that stay, and that's the people in our lives. We still have fresh air. We can still go out for walks. Even in the darkest times, I think there's always something to hold on to. So that makes me hopeful. Out on my walk today, I saw a number of signs that said, we're in it together. We'll get through this together, love each other, be love. And a friend of mine and I found some chalk, and we wrote messages along the way for ourselves, I think, as well as for other people to read. So, I think this is requiring that we slow down and be mindful in so many different ways that we were not attuned to before the virus. And in that way, it's bringing us opportunities to change and to look at the things that block our own humanity and our own connection to each other, which again, I can tie that back to the work at Sojourner. What survivors have said they want and need is this sense of humanity, that they're not alone, that they belong to something bigger than just what's happening to them. And, if we hold space for them, they find that place for themselves. So we're all practicing during this difficult time, finding that hope. So I wrote a few messages today. I took a couple of pictures of daffodils in different stages of blooming. And I thought about that phrase, hope springs eternal. So what makes hope spring eternal? There are some things we cannot stop from happening in life. Nature teaches us that. We cannot stop loss. We can't stop bad things from happening. We can't stop the river from rising or natural disasters from happening. But what we can do is be there for each other, which I think Sojourner has been a living example of that for many, many years. We don't find freedom on our own. We don't find meaning on our own. We need other people to hold space for us, light the path, and help us sometimes walk, actually, when we can't ourselves. I've been saying to people, it's important that we have our emotion about this, that we allow ourselves to have our feelings, because that's part of what this birth process is going to require, that we allow ourselves to understand that the way of life we knew before has fundamentally shifted, and that comes with emotion. Our lives are over the way we thought they were, or the way they were, and a new reality is here in every aspect of our lives. And so I think feeling our emotions is really important during this time. And that's part of finding hope as well, making room for the sadness and the anger and the fear and the anxiety, and then finding our way towards peace. And then we can be a blessing to other people as well. So immediately when I got outside this morning and started writing those messages, I was thinking of the people that would read the messages. And what we wrote is be love, be love. We'll get through this together. And the more I focused on other people, the better I felt. And I think that's part of that attitude shift that helps you move from your own fear. And there's lots of reasons, to be fearful. There's many things we don't know about. But as soon as I started to shift from my own fears and anxieties and my own loss and loneliness, and focused on other people, I started to feel better. I hope it doesn't take us back to the place where we are rushing through our lives at light speed, not paying attention to ourselves and other people. Because then what are we really here for, right? I think we're here to be a gift to each other. And perhaps that's what the virus is reminding us of. And, how great is it at Sojourner? This is our work. We get to experience that, virus or no virus. We know the power of being present for other people. We know the miracles that happen and the healing that can happen when we stop running from and running around or running away from the things that we're afraid of. It is really a blessing to do the work we do at Sojourner. And that, to me, is the message that survivors bring forward. The fact that they got up, they can dress up, they can do their lives, and they can still manage in spite of having been hurt by people who are supposed to or said they love them. As human beings, we're living testaments to hope. And what we said in our first video is we'd like to hear from people about things that make them hopeful. What are those things that make you feel better? For me, hope is about feeling better in the moments of your life, feeling like the future has a promise to it and that you have a purpose. So, what are the things? To me, it was picking up a few pieces of chalk today and writing some messages and being with a friend who heard how I was feeling and writing messages for other people. And knowing that I have a role to play at Sojourner that's important for other people. So I want to invite others to send us messages of hope, a movie, a reading, a novel, a book, something someone did for you that made you feel better about yourself and in your life and where you're going.